Hi Gears fan, and welcome to our hands-on with the Gears of War E-Day campaign. A few weeks ago, the Coalition invited us to try the multiplayer in early access, and we never expected to be lucky enough to experience the campaign as well. It was a wonderful surprise. If you followed our videos over the years, you'll know that we haven't agreed with many of the choices made by the studio. The canon of the series has often been damaged by questionable decisions. Tactics is the clearest example, but Gears 4 and Gears 5 had similar problems. The decision to deliberately leave large gaps in the timeline, ready to be filled whenever necessary, certainly made things easier for the writers, but at the same time it weakened the lore. After several departures following the release of Gears 5, we expected the team to lose its way even further and move away from what fans really wanted. But that didn't happen. Over these 7 years, the Coalition has matured, and by choosing to challenge itself and genuinely open up to its audience, has taken a gigantic step forward across the board. The result, at least based on what we were able to play, could be the best Gears of War ever made. So while Versus left us a little confused by some of its choices, something that didn't happen with Horde Siege, the campaign removes any doubt about the quality of the work they've done. The campaign preview included only a chapter and a half from the game's second act. Here's what we experienced. After surviving the first night of emergence, Marcus, Dom and the others managed to reach Kalona City Hall alongside Mayor Shaw. Here, they meet two new key figures within the military. Colonel Trench, who commands the Gears defending the city, and Captain Aquila Gray, who after collecting the soldiers' personal details, officially forms the new squad under the name Bravo. One thing that immediately stood out to us is that neither the old nor the new characters feel like simple caricatures built around a stereotype. They feel believable from the very beginning. Just a short conversation and their facial expressions are enough to start understanding their personalities. Aquila Gray, for example, isn't simply the classic strong and authoritative character who is always right. She behaves differently with every member of Bravo's squad. With Dom, she almost takes on a maternal attitude once she realizes how worried he is about his wife in Ephira. With Max, she constantly tries to keep her seemingly arrogant personality under control. In Lucas, she immediately sees a young soldier determined to follow every rule and please his superior officers. While when Marcus names Adam Phoenix as his closest relative, her reaction is anything but impressed. It's a small example, but it already shows how much Karen Travis's involvement as a collaborator and consultant has helped the Coalition with the writing. Throughout the entire preview, we felt as though we had been dropped directly into the 5 novels connected to the original trilogy, with the feeling that we were genuinely among the ranks of Kalona's military. The story no longer comes only through the main characters, but is told through a living world where the soldiers we meet in the streets discuss what has happened, share their opinions, and try to understand what these creatures emerging from underground actually are. But Gears of War isn't just a story to tell, it's also about gameplay. And this is where E-Day managed to surprise us even more. The first chapter is the closest to the classic structure of the series, more linear and more guided. Bravo's squad leaves City Hall and has to reach Oria Stadium, where the military has gathered. To get there, we have to cross a large bridge that inevitably brings the Centennial Bridge from Gears 3 to mind. But as soon as the fighting begins, it becomes obvious how much the game has changed. Sliding, jumping, and above all, the ability to climb completely changed the way we read the environment. The bridge is no longer just a corridor whose boundaries are artificially hidden by the background. We can move between lanes, use the side walkways, jump directly into the guardhouse, climb onto vehicles, and slide behind enemy cover. And the Locusts are absolutely not the stationary targets we saw during the Xbox showcase in June. They move, try to surround us, and constantly take the initiative. Exactly like in Horde Siege, This time we are the ones in danger, not our enemies. This makes combat extremely fun and unpredictable even inside a more guided level. We replayed these chapters at least 10 or 15 times and never got bored. During the chapter, we'll be supported by two groups, Theta Squad led by Tai and also including the twins Mako and Manu, and Charlie Squad led by Valen. During our preview, we didn't find anything confirming that Valen is a Carmine, as we theorized in our previous video, but we haven't abandoned the idea yet. The presence of William and now Valen could even suggest a particular naming pattern for the previous generation. Once the bridge has been secured and crossed, we finally reach Oria Stadium, where the second chapter begins. Here we meet Russ, who was referred to as Rustin in the old multiplayer video, and he agrees to turn the old bayonet-equipped Lancer into the chainsaw-equipped prototype Lancer. Meanwhile, the members of Bravo begin sharing old stories from the Pendulum Wars, and Dom tells an amusing story about Marcus and Carlos. Once again, this moment immediately reminded us of Caron Travis's novels. The characters don't simply feel like they're following the story, but like they are part of it and actively influencing it. Shortly afterwards, Ross introduces us to the supply caches, which are scattered throughout the city and can be used to swap and upgrade our weapons. Unlike the Fabricator in Gears 4, this addition fits perfectly within the lore. The upgrades aren't simply created out of nowhere, but have to be obtained by completing side missions or finding special yellow crates hidden throughout the levels. Once past the outpost, Gray gives us a map that can be checked at any time and grants us access to Downtown Kalona. And this is where E-Day really shows just how much the campaign structure has changed. We can head straight towards the objective, but exploration is constantly rewarded. Kalona is filled with propaganda, signs and magazines that show a coalition recovering after its victory against the independents. The environments partly evoke New York, but also much older European cities deeply connected to their own history. And this is probably one of the best representations of the concept of destroyed beauty ever seen in the series. Among all these details, we also noticed something particularly interesting for the lore. Until now, the Gears timeline has mainly been told by dividing events between before and after Emergence Day. Now, however, we know that E-Day takes place in the year 5992, and we have some additional information about Sera's original calendar. It will be interesting to see whether the Coalition decides to expand the chronology of the series, keeping the current system while also bringing back the old dating system alongside it. After exploring the area and completing the two side missions available to us, we headed towards Octus Way Station. From there, the game offers several different ways to proceed. We can use the road destroyed by the Corpser to descend towards the tracks. From there, we can move from train to advance, or we can continue along the road and approach the area from above at the same height as the snipers. Even entering the station gives us multiple options. We can follow the objective marker and enter through the main gate as the mission expects, or take another route. By following the tracks, we can reach a train that initially looks like it has been placed there simply to block the player. But if we stand in front of the carriage doors, they open, giving us an alternative entrance into the station and triggering the same dialogue and the same battle from a completely different point of view. On top of that, once we enter the station, the doors behind us don't automatically close and trap us inside, but remain fully usable, allowing us to go back outside whenever we want, perhaps to retrieve a weapon we left behind. All of this demonstrates that Kalona is fully developed and continues to exist at all times. Once the battle is over, Gray orders us to head for Allfather's Plaza. Before leaving the station, Valin tells us to use the supply cache, where we can now select character upgrades that are not tied to Horde Siege's classes. The demo ends as soon as we pass through the door leading outside. We can't deny that we felt genuinely sad at that moment. being unable to continue and finish the game really hit us, and that alone says a lot about the quality of this new campaign. If we have to find one major flaw with the game, however, it is undoubtedly performance. Aside from a few animations that are still somewhat rough, the game currently has several technical issues. We encountered a few bugs, including some funny ones, like mechs suddenly appearing in their civilian clothes, but also graphical glitches, background elements flickering or loading late, and performance that is far too low and unstable for an RTX 5090. The frame rate generally remained between 60 and 70 frames per second, with DLSS set to quality. We hope that by launch the game will be properly optimized and cleaned up from the technical roughness that this demo still struggles to hide. Aside from that, what we played was of extremely high quality. The writing, characters, city, gameplay and visuals already feel incredibly solid and have the potential to deliver the best Gears of War ever made. For years, we had the feeling that E-Day might simply be a prequel spin-off like Judgment, built on the framework of previous games and designed to fill the gap before the next mainline entry. That isn't the case. E-Day is a huge, rich, deep and revolutionary entry that takes the best elements of the past and rebuilds them from the ground up in a new form. We believe every Gears of War fan will find something here that they absolutely love, and, thanks to its nature as a prequel, it could also be an excellent starting point for anyone who has never played the series before. We hope you enjoyed our hands-on preview, and most importantly, that you're getting ready for the arrival of E-Day. Because at least based on what we were able to play, the Coalition has poured an incredible amount of passion into this game, and it seems to be exactly what fans have been waiting for all these years. I'm Screech93. This is Go Series Videos. Thanks for watching.